Oh, even though he normally comes on Wednesdays, it's Thursday. Thank you, Kevin Danna, for rescheduling. So Mark Spears could have joined me yesterday, but I got Kevin Danna with me. We're going to be the voice of reason, Dub Nation, and anyone else watching the show, because I'm not hitting a panic button. We're going to find out if Kevin Danna is going to hit a panic button. I don't think you are, brother. We'll
find out.
We'll find out next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors and many other teams and sports. You're all over the place. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. Kevin, the Warriors are now 0-8 on the road to start the season. Their defense continues to be utter you-know-what. They give up 130 points to the Suns. Your immediate reaction to last night's game and the team so far?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, how many open threes did the Phoenix Suns get last night, right? Like the Suns, they shot 53% from three.
Yes.
And I would venture to guess, well, like, all right, yeah, not every, they were hot last night. But I think like a lot of NBA teams would have hit at least 16 threes against Golden State last night. They would have hit 40% of threes just because they were so damn open.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there were, whatever you would, defensive breakdowns or just not getting back in transition. I mean, Cameron Payne, he can make shots, but is he 6 of 10 from deep good? On a normal night, no. Mikal Bridges, 5 of 8 from three. Torrey Craig, who's a 39% three-point shooter, 3 of 6 from three. Damian Lee, who for some reason Warriors fans trashed last year, despite being a high 30s three-point shooter, like went 3 for 3 from downtown last night. Like, it was an all-you-can-eat for Phoenix. On the other hand, maybe this isn't kind of an on-the-other-hand perspective, but, like, Golden State, like, more or less stayed in contact with Phoenix despite not being able to guard their own shadow last night.
They did.
So, like, not all road losses are equal. The last time they played in Phoenix, they got run out of the gym over the last 15 minutes of regulation after Clay got ejected. They were with them for about 42 minutes of last night's game. I mean, eventually it got to 19 and they kind of prettied up the score late. Clay hit a couple of shots. But yeah, so like the defense obviously is concern numero uno. The offense has been, Steph was, just otherworldly last night. And Wiggins, he had it going from deep late. He didn't get off to a good start. I will say this. I think, like, the Warriors were playing good defense for the first 4 minutes of the game. Andrew Wiggins picked up 2 fouls, left at the 8-minute mark of the first quarter, and then it cratered. Like, I'm looking at the game book right now. I want to say, like, Phoenix had 7 points through the first 4 minutes. Maybe they had 9 points through the first 4 minutes. But, like, a respectable number. Yeah, it was 9-7 when Wiggins picked up his second foul and sent Devin Booker to the line. And then they scored 29 points in the last 8:05. So if you're giving up basically 2 points per minute in the first 4 minutes of the game, that's a 96-point pace. And then, like, yeah, Wiggins just couldn't really get into a rhythm. That, I think, really hurt them.
I want to play this soundbite from Steve Kerr. This was following the game because I think what he says here is very accurate in terms of what's plaguing the Warriors. Here's Kerr.
We're never going to panic. Like, there's no point in panicking. What we have to do is stay with it and find it. But in order to find it, we've got to get everybody on board, on the same page in terms of just worrying about winning, and that's it. And I think, for right now anyway, I think we're just scattered. It's a pickup game. It's a pickup game out there. So there's no execution at either end, no sort of commitment to the group to get 3 stops in a row, to execute on offense. And it obviously starts with me. I'm the coach of the team, so I have to figure out a way to get that production, that sort of commitment to the team and to each other, and to winning, that it's going to require.
Look, what this Kerr is basically saying in that clip is that, and there was another, I read somewhere else, I don't know if he said it in the locker room, where he said it, but I think Monty Poole referenced that Steve Kerr said the Warriors are playing Drew League style ball. I can't remember if that's how he phrased it exactly. But that's in reference to basically just a style of play that is not structured. Fundamentals are not the primary focus. And that's where the defensive lapses are coming in. You and I share a very similar frustration in regards to those uncontested shots that the Suns were putting up. They're wide open. And if you, and for any observer of the game who's been watching as long as you and I have, Kevin, you can see it right there. It's not just the bench that's struggling, even though the bench is a concern. It's Andrew Wiggins lagging to get to the open shooter. It's Klay Thompson lagging to get to the open shooter. Sometimes it's Steph lagging to get to the open shooter, even though I don't want to point any fingers at Steph, because there's anyone who's out there giving it his all, it is Steph. But even defensively, that is the one part that sometimes he's guilty of. He does not swing around fast enough to get to the open shooter. And Draymond Green has been very guilty of this lately, of being aggressive and contesting open shots. There was about a month ago on Inside the NBA on TNT, Shaq and Kenny Smith had a discussion about this, and it's the entire reason why I'm not hitting the panic button, because they both have been on teams that have had lousy starts or just did not come out of the gates firing and executing at a top-notch level after winning a championship. For Kenny Smith, it was 1995. The second iteration of those 2 Rockets championship teams. For Shaquille O'Neal, it was the 2002-2003 Los Angeles Lakers that went on to three-peat. That team started the season 5-10. And in both cases, they both alluded to the fact that they just did not have aggressiveness. They just did not have the urgency. I see your hand coming up. Did you want to add something to that? I'm sorry.
No, 2002-2003 Lakers, they lost in the second round. Did they start that year 5-10? I'm looking up their schedule and results right now.
I thought 03 they won the title. Was that
no? They three-peated from 2000 to 2002. Yeah, they started 5-11 the year after their third straight title. Then they got it rolling, finished 50-32. Yeah, I remember, because they lost in 6 to San Antonio. Because 2003 San Antonio beat the Nets. It was New Jersey's second straight finals appearance.
Oh, well, then maybe it was the 02 version then. The 02 version did not start 5-10. 03 did. So that actually doesn't help.
But your Rockets point is well taken, because the Houston Rockets were the number 6 seed in 1995 and won the NBA title.
To finish the season. But even still, the third Lakers team in that three-peat era had a slow start, and they both came out and said that when you go through a run like that, it's hard to rise up to regular season games. And every other team is coming out like gangbusters. To the Suns last night were a perfect example of that, where you're talking about Torrey Craig going 3 for 6 from 3, Cameron Payne going 6 for 10, Mikal Bridges going 5 for 8. These are outstanding shooting numbers, but they were also playing really heavy minutes. Mikal Bridges played 42 minutes in that game last night. By the way, he was the primary defender on Steph, and Steph eviscerated him on the defensive side, for a player that's notorious supposedly for being a tremendous defender. But again, he played 42 minutes. And when players are logging that heavy amount of minutes, it means they care a lot more. They really, like, these games matter to the Warriors opponents so much more than it does to the Warriors themselves. That's why I'm not panicking super hard yet. I don't know. What do you think about that opinion, Kevin?
Well, I do think like you don't have to worry about minutes management with Mikal Bridges. The guy has played like 323 or however many straight games he's played, and he's 26 years old. You're not putting him on a pitch count. Like you have to put like a guy like Steph in his mid 30s, or like be more concerned with the number of minutes he's playing to keep his body fresh, because Mikal Bridges is just entering his athletic prime and he's been super, super durable. So I just think, he's a guy who wants to go out there and play 40 plus minutes in a game like this. And he's a guy who's capable of giving you 40 plus productive minutes. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I don't know. Maybe it's because I watch 400-ish games a year across 5 different leagues this year that I don't know. I don't really trip on individual games. Like I enjoy to watch them, and yeah, much would have preferred the Warriors to win than to lose. But I mean, if we weren't panicking after 3 and 7, why would you panic at 6 and 9? Right? Like some might say 6 and 9 is a nice record for those who oblige and that kind of stuff. But but like they won 3 of their last 4 going into last night. They were 3 and 2 in their last 5 after they were 3 and 7 in their first 10. So like they are playing better, giving up 40 it wasn't 40 uncontested 3-point attempts last night, but the wide open threes for Phoenix notwithstanding, they have generally played better than they did in their first 10 games. In PR terms, last night was a setback for sure, but I do think they're playing better. I do think eventually they're going to win a road game. I don't think they'll go 0-41. I think if this team can go 17-24 on the road, that means winning like a little more than half of their final 33 road games. They can easily get to 31 wins, they're limited to 10 losses at Chase Center. If they're 48-34, that's going to be good for the 5 or 6 seed, and they'll be fine.
And by the way, that Lakers team that failed to four-peat, they still did finish that season after starting 5-10, 50-32. And they did lose to the Spurs in the second round. And I'm sorry, but I just don't see in the NBA landscape, at least in the Western Conference, an equivalent of the Spurs who could take out the Warriors. My point is that defending champions a lot of times have a hard time rising to the occasion. I still think they're going to turn it around, but I do have some stats from Draymond Green that are very concerning. I think he's almost one of the biggest problems. I'll explain that in just a moment. First, I got to give some love to a very new sponsor of this program, BetterHelp, and Locked On Warriors is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, and I feel like we all need help. If there's anyone in this world who refuses, and actually will really take it personally for anyone who puts a stigma on seeking help for anything related to your mind and mental health more specifically. Look, this is a crazy world. All right. You shouldn't, not everyone's feeling okay, and that's fine. Go out there and get help. And BetterHelp is a great resource for you. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online, plus it's affordable. And again, I cannot encourage enough how important it is to seek mental health. None of us are perfect. This is a crazy world we're in. All right. It's okay if you're struggling out there, and it's okay to seek help. All you got to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. I can attest to the struggles of finding a therapist that is a right match for you. And with BetterHelp, it couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen today. For your second listen after us, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, and so much more, sometimes even the Golden State Warriors, on Twitter at Kevo408. Draymond Green, I decided to do some research on him and his defensive numbers, courtesy of NBA.com, their stats page, which is invaluable in terms of data to provide and to collect. Draymond on the year, in terms of one-on-one matchups, opposing players are shooting 25 of 69 from beyond the arc when Draymond is matched on them. That's 36.2%. By any standard, that's not great. The Mendoza line for three-point shooting is 33%. Anything 33 or higher for an offensive player is successful. If you're a defensive player, not so successful. And then in terms of overall shooting, calculating field goal percentage, he's giving up 81 of 183 shooting, which is 44.3%. So overall, opposing players are shooting 44.3% from the field on Draymond Green. The sample size is going bigger and bigger. I don't know if that means he's declining. I think more likely it's just similar to whatever is afflicting a lot of the veterans on this team. They're just not rising to the occasion. Their urgency is not there. They don't give a you-know-what. Your thoughts on that stat? Is there anything to read into that, or what do you think?
Hold on. First, are you able to hear like the I'm having my sync worked on right now. I totally forgot that I was having my sync worked on right now. Were you able to hear that?
Yes. Who cares? Who cares?
Okay. All right. We're fine. You're going to hear some more screwdriver sounds. Okay. I think the NBA average is around 46% for a made field goal. So slightly below average. I will say, I feel like Draymond's baiting guys into taking threes a lot. Of like those 69 3-point attempts. I'd be curious how many of those threes were threes that Draymond wanted them to take, because I feel like he's purposely leaving some guys open from three.
I've noticed that.
So if guys are taking uncontested threes, then yeah, that number is going to be a little bit higher. I do think Draymond's played pretty well this year. Generally speaking, I think he's made some really good defensive plays, has disrupted. He had this beautiful 2-on-1 disruption last night. I do think when it comes to outside of defending shots, I think he's been pretty good. Like his scoring's been up this year. His assists are I think he has 38 assists in his last 4 games now. Maybe his rebounding's down a little bit. He had 2 rebounds yesterday. I'm doing this without looking at his season stats.
No, you're right. It was 2. That's awful. But I digress.
So, yeah, they didn't really rebound well last night at all. Like, I was shocked when Phoenix only had 8 offensive rebounds because second chance points killed them in the second quarter. But yeah, I don't know. When I watch Draymond, and I don't know, there are people who watch a lot closer than I do, but I haven't been like, oh, this guy is the reason Golden State's losing. I think he's been generally pretty good. Now, 36% from 3, you'd rather a guy not shoot 36% from 3 against you. That's, I think, probably the NBA average. I'd have to guess. I know you said the Mendoza line is 1 out of 3, but I think the NBA average is probably around 35 to 36% for made threes. I'm going to try to look that up when you make your next point. But, yeah, no, I mean, those numbers aren't the best, but I also still think he's been playing at a really high level.
I mean, the reason why I'm incredibly critical, we'll get into this in just a minute, but he's your defensive anchor. Whatever improvements you've seen from him offensively this year, and by the way, the stats don't confirm it. His assist numbers are actually below last year. His rebounding numbers are below last year. He's only averaging half a point more this year. But you need, like, his 3-point shooting is down this year. Look, that doesn't matter though. The Warriors offense is not the problem. I mean, scoring wise, they're like, I think, second or third in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's the defensive captain of this team. So if he's baiting, and I've noticed that too, like sometimes he just doesn't even contest threes. Like he wants players to do it. The problem is it's backfiring. They're making those threes that he's daring opposing players to shoot. He's the anchor. Like, to me, when it comes to defense, it starts with him. In the same way, like if the Warriors offense was struggling, I would say it starts with Steph, but their offense is fine. They're putting up nearly 120 points a game. Their defense sucks. It's the worst it's fourth worst in terms of efficiency, second to last in terms of points given up per game.
Yeah.
And it starts with him. So I'll break this down much more. Maybe the problem with Draymond Green is just that he needs help with sweat. Maybe he's working so hard out there that he's sweating his ass off, and he maybe needs some SweatBlock. I don't know. I mean, look, if any of you out there have sweat issues and you sweat profusely, you don't want stains on your shirt. You don't want odors. You don't want to be the person in the room that stinks. That is not the reputation you want. And SweatBlock is the solution for that. SweatBlock wipes were invented by a doctor, and they're guaranteed to work or you don't pay. That's a guarantee, folks. They call it the SweatBlock dry shirt guarantee. If SweatBlock doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock risk-free today. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. Also available on Amazon.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. Yeah, what do you think, man? I mean, ultimately, Draymond Green to me is who I look to first and foremost, not only for your defense, but also as your overall leader in the locker room. And anyone can tell you right now from watching this team, chemistry is a huge issue. And I don't know if like that punch, if we're seeing the reverberations of that, maybe that has nothing to do with it. Maybe Draymond is just someone who has difficulty at this stage of his career motivating himself to play at a top-notch level, and he's waiting till January to finally wake up. I don't know what's going on, man. Do you see my point, or do you think I'm totally overboard and being overly critical? What are your thoughts on my criticism of Draymond Green and how I think he is a huge part of the problem here?
I'll say that just because I looked it up. Incredible segue to get to that sweat thing, Reed.
My block.
I was wondering what you were doing at first, and then I heard the read. I was like, Jesus, that was pretty impressive. All right, so the NBA average for field goal percentage in the league this year is 46.6%.
Okay.
And the NBA average for three-point made field goals is 35.8%.
Can you repeat that one more time? So the NBA average for field goal percentage is what?
46.6%. That is what the league shoots this year. And the league is shooting 36% from three, 35.8, round up to 36. So he either at average in defending the three, I mean, like going based off that, or slightly above average in defending just regular field goal attempts.
Not good.
So,
not good.
I mean, not elite, but it's like he's not falling off a cliff. And like, I couldn't tell you what his defensive field goal percentage was in previous years. I'd be curious to see that. But
I'll try to do the research. It is long, tenuous research because I have to literally go through every player. They don't provide like the overall numbers for that, but I'll look into it because my point is if his defense is on par with the league average, that's not good enough to me. Like this is Draymond Green.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
That's my problem, man.
I'm saying there's more to defense. What he does defensively is more than just contesting shots.
Yes.
And that's where I still think he has done a really good job. Even though the defense has not done a really good job. Obviously, the fourth worst in efficiency, second worst in scoring allowed. I still, there are plenty of possessions a game where I'm like, wow, how Draymond disrupted this play. And I mean, I don't have the mind to lock in on every possession, see what everyone's doing defensively. So I couldn't give you a better answer than that. But there are still like a couple of times each game where I'm like, wow, Draymond just like he disrupted that 2-on-1 last night. Should have been an easy layup for Phoenix. There's still like 1 or 2 of those plays a game, which I feel like is kind of what has been like the norm for Draymond. And he had 3 steals last night too. So yeah, that's all I was saying. Is he the defensive player of the year candidate that he was a year ago? No, I mean, I don't think any of us can say that he is in the running for defensive player of the year right now. Maybe he hits that stretch in January, like you said. The team wakes up a little bit. I do think that Draymond has been fine this year, but that's my take on it.
No, that's fair. I mean, my standards for him are so damn high because I consider him to be one of the 3 greatest defenders in the history of the game. And when you look at the Warriors' precedent year after year of just having one of, if not the best defenses in the game, it starts with him. Last year, the Warriors, everyone talks about how they finished the season second in defensive efficiency. They were first before Draymond Green got injured. So when I see the defense now near last, and Draymond's giving up shooting percentages, you're right. And this is where I feel like it's hard to judge him, because when you're watching the games and you're seeing the on-court product, Draymond's not the issue. The eye test will not tell you Draymond is the problem. But I'm looking at this in terms of, again, what the data is showing. And when you actually really look at the minutia, like I'm spending like quarters of games sometimes just watching him, right? Because I'm curious. And like you said, he's routinely baiting players to shoot those open threes. Whereas I don't know if he should be doing that, because the results are not rewarding him for that. I don't know. I think it's going to have to start with him if this thing's going to turn around. And if he continues playing like this, which is good, not great, I don't think the Warriors win a championship. Look, the Warriors have a lot of problems besides Draymond. Do you have time to do a part 2, or do you have to run to Stanford? What's your call? What are you doing?
We can keep going for a little bit. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I probably got another 10, 15 in me.
Stay tuned for part 2 of Kevin, Dan, and I, because there's a lot more to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Stay tuned.